The Jerusalem Gift Shop, 10% off everything. Coupon code ILTV.
Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras here with ILTV's morning briefing. Israeli air defense systems were activated in central Israel on Tuesday night against a missile fired from Syria. The Israeli Defense Forces said that there was no damage and no injuries. Meanwhile, Syrian state media reported that Syrian air defenses intercepted hostile targets near Damascus, with loud explosions heard near the Syrian capital. Syrian TV reported that the aggression originated from above Lebanon, and as such, the Lebanese state-run national news agencies also reported Tuesday night that Israeli warplanes performed mock drills over southern Lebanese skies. While the nature of the targets remains unclear, Newsweek has reported that the Israeli airstrike targeted and reportedly hit several top Hezbollah leaders. According to the report, which Newsweek says was obtained by a Department of Defense source, Israel's airstrike was conducted minutes after the leaders boarded a plane bound for Iran. The source also corroborated previous reports that the Israeli airstrike did in fact target supply points containing GPS-guided ammunition, some of the best available to the Iranian army and Hezbollah. Meanwhile, the United Kingdom-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, a war monitor, reported that the missiles hit 3 targets near Damascus, which included weapons depots belonging to either Hezbollah or Iranian forces. 3 Syrian soldiers were also reportedly wounded in the attack. The IDF, though, has so far not confirmed the air raids. In related news, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Tuesday that Operation Northern Shield to neutralize and destroy Hezbollah cross-border terror tunnels is almost complete. While touring the Israel-Lebanon border with ministers from his security cabinet, Netanyahu said that the operation is, quote, mostly behind us, and added that there has been exceptional work here to deny Hezbollah the tunnel's weapon. It has invested greatly in this, and we have destroyed it. The politicians were briefed by the IDF Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Gadi Eisenkot, Northern Command Major General Airstrike, and other senior officers. The Knesset plenum is expected to vote and pass a bill to officially disperse the Knesset today, and this comes after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced early elections on Monday scheduled for April 9th. And as we enter the time of political campaigns, a new poll released by Israel's Channel 2 News found that the Likud is the leading party, garnering 29 mandates. Despite this, the poll found that the majority of Israelis, some 52%, do not want Netanyahu to serve another term as prime minister. Now, the wild card for this election is former IDF Chief of Staff Benny Gantz, who has yet to officially declare his entry into politics anyway, let alone what party he'll join, if any. The Channel 2 poll also found that a party led by Gantz would win 16 mandates, but a hypothetical party with Gantz merging with the Zionist Union could pose a significant challenge to the Likud by gaining a strong 25 mandates. The Likud, in this situation, would still come ahead, though, with 31. Then a similar poll conducted by Walla yesterday also found that a hypothetical party led by Yair Lapid of Yesh Atid and Gantz would still win just 26 seats, while the Likud would win 31. The Walla poll continued that if Gantz opted to form his own party, the Likud would still gain 31 seats, while his party would only gain 14, and Yesh Atid would drop to 12. If, however, Gantz decides not to enter politics altogether, the Likud would still gain 32 mandates, and Yesh Atid would gain 17, followed by the Jewish Home Party with 12, and the Zionist Union and the Arab Joint List with 11 mandates each. Finally, the poll also found that 40% of the Israeli public believes that Netanyahu is the most worthy candidate to lead the country, despite all the criticisms against him, while 22% of Israelis said that none of the heads of the parties were worthy of leading the country at all. Regardless, the poll found that the majority of Israelis, some 53%, still supported the decision to call for early elections. In the final moments of the Knesset before its vote to disband today, the Israeli parliament still managed to push through the medicinal cannabis export law proposed by Likud MK Yoav Kish. The bill is an amendment to the Dangerous Drugs Ordinance and has now passed its third and final reading with 21 votes in favor and 0 votes against. It only needs final approval by the cabinet to be enacted now, though it is highly expected to pass through the cabinet, barring a veto from the prime minister. If passed, the export law will oblige a budget to formulate and regulate Israeli policy on the export of medicinal cannabis, and it'll give the health ministry the ability to oversee and issue cannabis business and export licenses. The police will then be in charge of submitting an official opinion on each license applicant, good, bad, or however, even if the police simply say that there's not sufficient evidence to form an opinion at all. Foreign investors will also be subject to licensing investigations, and violators could face a 75,000 shekel fine and up to 2 years in prison. Still, if approval is given by the cabinet, exports are expected to begin within 6 to 8 months. The Israeli cannabis industry is lauding the decision, but warns that the final action must be made quickly so as not to hinder the market any further. There are already currently 8 cannabis growing companies in Israel, and many more companies involved in product manufacturing, marketing, distribution, etc., whom are all waiting on this bill. Hopefully, they'll soon have their answer. Indonesian military, police, and rescue teams are still combing the coastlines for survivors following a massive tsunami that hit Saturday night, likely caused by the volcanic eruption on the island of Enek, Krakatoa. Over 420 people have been killed, over 100 are still reported missing, and thousands are displaced. But with no diplomatic ties in place, Israel has not sent any official representation to aid in the rescue or rebuilding efforts. In fact, Indonesian officials have even rejected Israeli offers. Independent Jewish aid organizations, however, like the American Jewish Joint Distribution Committee and IsraAid, have been among the many rescue groups on the ground since day one. The aid groups provide psychosocial care as well as water, sanitation, and hygiene support, and they work closely with the other groups on the ground to assess the needs of each community. IsraAid did note that they'd been present in Indonesia since months earlier anyway, though, following the earthquake and tsunami that hit September 28th, leaving over 2,250 people dead and thousands more displaced. Similarly, the JDC has been in Indonesia since 2004, after the Indian Ocean tsunami killed nearly 250,000 people. That's all for now. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.